This is episode 25 of our talk, and today I have a very special guest, my artist friend, Joan Marie. In 1969, Joan Marie entered the Sistine Chapel to be so inspired by Michelangelo that was the moment she knew she would dedicate her life to art. After a teaching career of 28 years, she began her journey based on her own spiritual path with power portraits. Joan Marie received a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Painting and Drawing from Washington University in 1973, a Master of Fine Arts from the University of South Florida in 1984, and Lindenwood University in St. Louis in 2009, where she focused on classical drawing skills. Joan Marie's work shares the mythical and magical in life through her art. Welcome, Joan. I'm so happy that you can be here and I can finally talk with you. Could you please share with us in one sentence or one phrase what is most important for you?
Spirituality is my purpose. So just to summarize who I am, that's what I would say.
Michelangelo's Sistine Chapel was the inspiration for you to decide to make art the most important thing in your life. Can you share with us what exactly touched you so deep that you knew that was it?
It's like, oh my gosh, such a powerful moment. You have no question, right? It's happened to everybody when whatever, it's different for everybody. When you experience that moment of wow, I enjoy that, or I love that, but this was so grand. I was under his chapel and looking up, and the spiritual energy that just filled my soul. I was swooning. I couldn't stand straight. I mean, I was just swooning. I closed my eyes and then I had to look back up. And it was like I had to remember where I was. I mean, it was such a physical soul experience. And my first words when I could think again was, if art can be that powerful, I have to be a part of it. And I was not a dedicated artist. I didn't even ever think I would be a full-time artist at the age of 19 at that time. And then from then on, every day, I was totally driven and dedicated because of that experience. It was like a message from God as far as I was concerned. And and then I saw Da Vinci, Leonardo da Vinci. I saw originals at the Uffizi Gallery, and I just sat, and I didn't know that much about him at that time. I was 19, and I just sat in front of one of the Adoration of the Magi. Oh my gosh. Like I said, I didn't even know it was an unfinished painting, and it is, but it looked finished to me. I sat there for 2 hours just not being able to pull away. I just was so captured by the energy again, and I just knew there was communication going on. So that soul community just stayed with me for life.
Yeah, I can imagine that.
Oh.
Totally. Yeah, I can imagine that. Um, it's so powerful, right? That I'm an old master peak too, and it's so powerful if you start studying their work and if you see how they, and I've visited it, and I was completely mesmerized by the Pietà from I was like, oh my God, that you can make something like that. It's marble, but it is so alive. It's unbelievable.
Yes.
Yeah, it's really unbelievable. And yeah, I always see you,
Yes,
by the
it's
way.
beyond.
Yeah, yeah.
Hi.
I always see you on Facebook sharing these uber fun, high energy photos of you flying around in colors. you you really fly, and yeah, they really make me crack me up. But sometimes, and they bring such high vibration, even through the photo or the video. What made you do this?
Well, to start with, because I am doing what I love, because I've always done my art, even though I've gone through the whole ups and down things with my art, I've always done what I love, and every day, and so I'm very happy, because of that. Even when things weren't working, which was a lot of the time, it didn't matter because I kept doing it. So I'm very happy inside because of that. And my husband is a fabulous singer. He's like, I always say, better than Andy Williams. I mean, so we started entertaining he started entertaining at retirement homes as a one-man band and then one singer. And I just started jumping around, and it evolved to where I got people to dance with me. And then I just started coming in full costume and full wings and more props and more animation and more color and more things. And so I had all these things. And then I just dance around in the yard and get videos, because when you entertain at retirement homes, they don't always want you to video. So I got some live footage there, but it was because we entertained. It was the highest moments. Oh, exchanging the love and the fun, and it was just highest moments ever of love exchange.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And on your website, you say it's giving back.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah.
And
And well, they ask me, how do you have so much energy? Because, for an hour I'm jumping because I'm not a dancer, but I'm a jumper and a twirler,
yeah,
and I respond to music and as beautiful songs. And he'd always play fun songs. And there, I said that your energy, feeds me. Your love and your passion, it just feeds me. So it just gives me energy. I don't even think about being tired because of the energy exchange just the power of that energy exchange. And you feel that with your art as well when you're doing that. All that everything that you experience in your life goes into your art. So it fed my art quite a bit as well.
yeah, it is. Yeah, I have to say, I love watching you there, especially when I am kind of down, don't have my day or whatever. I just take a look at Joan, because it always uplifts. Yeah, you don't see that. I've never seen it ever. People, I've played in a street orchestra, and we played in retirement homes and care homes, which was fun, especially when one of the elderly came on in front of the orchestra and had to direct us. But this with you is from a totally different. Yeah.
Well, I believe in play. I believe in play. I believe in being a child. I just think it's so important. I mean, one of my favorite quotes from Picasso, and I don't have the words correct, but his concept was, the highest level art is when you combine the wisdom of the genius of an artist, which is knowing composition and color and all the knowledge of an artist, along with the freedom of a child.
Yeah.
So combining those two, so I was like, yes, because I just, it was such confirmation that the great Picasso, confirmed that, and then he got so childlike with his stuff, and not that my art has become childlike, but that energy is there, like the fun spirit is there. And I loved that he said that.
Yeah. And that's true. We have to find our inner child back. We have to feed it. We have to feed it, because otherwise you dry out and you can't. It's the source of creation.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And you said already in the beginning, spirituality is my life, is who I am. And spirituality is something you totally embrace with your art. It is what we have in common, by the way. And that belief, like for me, it's also stay true to who you are. So I paint the feminine power energy in the portraits.
Yes, you do.
And so, yeah, also that belief in unlimited possibilities. And that's also what your art shows. It's like I can watch that for a long time, just look at it.
Mm.
And there are so many things you see, and every time you see something new. And that is amazing. How did this come into your art after teaching and pouring and the many roads in art you took?
Yeah, I did find many different avenues. I mean, I tried different styles and different avenues, and I would go wholeheartedly with a certain business, and I thought for sure it was going to succeed, and everyone was encouraging me, and it would fail, and I would move to, so that would push me to another style, and I just kept doing that, and it wasn't until I was 68, because I'm 71 now. That I discovered through a class I'm taking with Jim Fortin, and he worked on your identity. And when you focus on your identity, you know, who are you, you know, and what, and then do you really believe that you are, and like, and he'd ask me, where do you see your art hanging? And at that time, I had decided that I was fantasy, that I was doing Comic-Con, unicorns and dragons and butterflies and kitty cat, you know, like, and I had a huge following, and I did, you know, like I said, I was doing Comic-Con in Los Angeles and or WonderCon, and I thought I made it. And then when he asked, where do you want your art to hang, or where do you see your art hanging in your ideal, you know, picture, I was like, well, in, you know, like above someone's fireplace or in the living room or something. He said, well, I don't think your unicorns are going to hang there. You know, I was like, you're right. They all hang in people's bathrooms or bedrooms or children's rooms or, you know, kitchens or something. And the more and then we worked on our values. What are your values? And I knew spirituality was number one, and then playful, you know, I don't have to go into the rest, but it's so important to be aware of your values. And so it all fit together suddenly. Actually, it was while creating a thank you gift for him, because I just wanted to thank him. And I wanted to give him one of my abstracts, you know, that I had gone through. And he said, you know, I love it. I love them, but they're really not my thing. And I was like, oh, I want to do something for him. And it just came to me because he had talked about spirit animals. And I said, I wonder what his spirit animal was. And I actually saw it on Facebook. He had done it. Anyway. So it ended up, I did a power portrait for him. I didn't know it was a power portrait, you know, but but it was one of those moments where it just came to me. I could see myself creating this double-headed eagle, this big, huge double-headed eagle with all these symbols and all this activity, you know, from things I had felt and drawn from, you know, from hearing him speak and all the things that had expanded me. When I did it, I was like, oh my gosh, what is this? You know, like and he, you know, he said it reminded him of his higher self, and you know, those weren't his exact words, but that's where it all started. It all came. I was like, all my life I've wanted to teach people how to be creative or to open up to your spirituality. I've wanted to teach that, and I've wanted to you know, work on my own spirituality, and I've always loved drawing and creating animals. So it's like putting it all together, finding the deeper, you know, spiritual purpose for animals and messages they give us is it was just so profound. Like all of a sudden the pieces of my life, I started looking to, you know, it just all fell together. I was like, oh, I'm going to help the individual, just, you know, remind them of who they are. So it just evolved like that.
Yeah, fantastic.
Out of gratitude. It came from gratitude, a moment of gratitude and thankfulness and relaxing, not trying so hard. You know, these are important characteristics in life,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And are your personal power portraits a way you now help other people open up to spirituality? Is that what it is, or maybe reconnect with it again?
Yeah, it's to remind, you know, because we get so caught up in what we think is important in our daily lives, and we keep getting caught up in these routines that where we just eliminate so much of what is important to us. and it's to capture the energy and to remind them, you know, these are the things that are important to me. These are the things that are symbols and feelings and energies that really light me up. So it's just a reminder and to take you back, you know, to
Yeah,
remembering who you are.
yeah, very important. I have that
Mm.
too, because also my group is females, women, and
Mm-hmm.
they can be so when they have a job or a business, they start acting like
Oh,
a
yeah,
man,
exactly.
and they forget
Yeah.
their own power.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah. And what sparked you to do these huge panels, and not so much the hugeness of them, but the power portraits, and use all the animals in them? And then also you use mostly color pencil. Have like when you use panels that big with color pencils, that takes years.
Well, luckily not for me, but you know, it's my passion. What can I say? I end up getting a master's in drawing because I've always loved drawing more than painting. I can paint, but it's just my passion. So I got confirmation in at my master's level that drawing was, you know, go for it. You can get a master's in it, and and I've always drawn big. Like in college, when students were to bring their little pads of paper to draw the human figure, I brought 6-foot pieces of paper to draw the human figure, to sketch, you know, to do quick sketches. I mean, I've always wanted to work big. It's my energy, you know, so it's very natural for me.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's just natural. And I through the years that my skills have gotten faster and better, and, you know, it doesn't take me as long. So
No, you can
yeah.
see you have a very skilled hand.
Thank
That
you.
is, yeah, that is. I love to see that. That's someone you made your hours for sure.
Yeah, I practiced a lot.
Yeah, and yeah, could you share some of your wisdom with artists out there, or who begin, or who want to start with art?
Oh gosh, there's so much. And number one, one thing they tell actors and actresses, that if you're not ready to commit 5 to 10 years and not worry about the money, you know, like not expect the money to come in 5 or 10 years, then it might be best to not start. Because if you're starting with the focus on being an artist, you know, just doing what you love as an artist, um, it could be very discouraging. And it's not so much discouraging as if you're trying to do it for money, then it affects your art too much. And it happened to me. I kept, you know, wanting to be a full-time artist, and so I kept doing different things that I thought would make money, and it was just a waste of my time, a waste of my years. Because I mean, not totally waste, because you're still doing art, but just don't do it. Don't focus on the money, and try to get in a position. That's why I went back to teaching, so that I could do my art at night every night. And the other art teachers in my school and be like, how do you have the energy to do art at night? And I was like, how do I not have the energy? Like, how could I not do art? I would go nuts if I was just teaching and not doing, you know, I mean, I guess it was a challenge. It didn't feel like it to me. It was just what I had to do. So I recommend that you do it every day as much as you can, or as much in the week as you can fit, because people around you, like my daughter adapted, people around you will adapt to your needs. I mean, make it a priority that it's a need that you need to fit into your life until you can get even more time. But go to galleries, go to museums. Number one, see original art, you know, see original art and feel the energy. Because and see, you know, look close, at least, because they let you get. But it's so important to see, you know, originals.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
and be patient, you know, be patient with everything. Be patient with yourself, with time, you know, just and do a body of work, do a whole body of work, and then look at it and say, where do I fit in? Who am I about? You know, just do a body of work without thinking much about it. Just keep doing it, do a bunch of art, and then look at oh, I really felt that group. That I don't know so much there. All of it means this, look at a whole body of work after you've done it and decide, rather than saying, I think I want to be a portrait artist, so I'm going to fit into that category, like
Doesn't
this,
work. Yeah.
you just got to do your art and see, because it could really backfire where you've wasted a lot of energy trying to go for like you just said. So, and just keep feeling, feel your art. Don't try so hard. Like that's life in general with everything. Don't try so hard at things, because the trying so hard blocks. Just keep the feeling. And I copied from masters in the early years.
Mhm.
To get in touch with, because the ones Michelangelo and Vinci, I copied them like they did in the old school,
Yeah.
because they used to go to the museums to actually paint. And I didn't sell that work. I just did it so that I could experience it, so obviously don't copy art and then sell it. Copy art to learn, maybe, it's a good stepping stone to get into the energy or to the understanding of what it's all about, of something you really admire, any style or artist. And the last thing, I guess, is trust. Just trust, trust yourself and love yourself. Oh my gosh, give yourself a break. We are so hard on ourselves, like every bit that you learn, you're advancing and you don't see it, because I had this big picture in my mind. And so I was always, I was plagued with insecurity like my whole life, and I wasted so much energy on it. And I now that I've learned all these spiritual techniques of how to live, I could have evolved past that and wasted a lot, not wasted so much energy on putting myself down, because it's just a journey. Enjoy the journey, whatever,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's a little bit, huh?
Yeah, I bet you have a ton to share, but it's good.
Yeah,
Take a
good to
grasp
reduce
it. Yeah.
it.
Yeah. If you could start over again, yeah, your artist career, what would you change?
Um, I if well, my little story was in college as a sophomore. When I went back to a serious college after I saw Michelangelo, I went back to a serious university, started all over again. And as a sophomore, one of the professors really insulted me and said, "Don't be an artist, you're not creative." And then later in senior year, another artist insulted me, and our professor insulted me. And then in master's, another art professor insulted me. And I was already insecure. And if I had known more of the spiritual wisdom about life, like, if somebody insults you for something, they're the one with the problem. Do you know what I heard now? That this professor, the first one that insulted me, that hurt me so deeply, when he said, "You're not creative and don't be an artist." He said he did that periodically to quite a few artists, just to see if it would get them to quit. Because he didn't want to encourage people to be artists. There were so many artists, so it's a tough road. And that was his whole, it's a tough road, and if you can't handle it, get out now. And I think his deeper intention was kind of okay, but it was so, it's not my way of doing it. I would have had a better conversation, with the person but it affected me so deeply, because he was this, in high level artist and professor, that I know now that it wouldn't have, if I would have, everybody's insecure. Everybody's insecure. Even the most professional person gets on stage and has butterflies and is all nervous before. You hear these stories over and over. I didn't quite know that, but it's like, yeah, so knowing that everybody's insecure, and just love yourself for where you are and enjoy the journey, just lighten up. Just lighten up. And the other thing is about learning about failure, because I had tried so many businesses, this style, and I just went so 100%, go to New York with a line of art, get the biggest convention, get the biggest booth, get the, always the biggest professional way of going at it. And like, yes, this is going to work. And failure, business after business. And I didn't know then that business, when you fail, it directs you to something that, you know, you're not supposed to be doing that. Like, what if it
Mm,
had
mm,
succeeded? Succeeded at something that I really wasn't me. I would never have discovered what I'm doing now. And this is my real passion. I mean, this is what I would never be doing this if any of those businesses had succeeded. So if
yeah,
you can look at these failures in a different way, that's huge.
yeah, yeah. I think that's something that we all have to learn.
Mhm.
We all have to learn. Yeah. I think Samuel Beckett said, ever failed, fail harder, fail better.
Yeah.
And it's true. It took him a long time before he was published.
Mm.
And it took him even longer before he got a Nobel Prize for literature. But he
Oh,
did it anyway. So
yeah.
you have to keep going. You have to
Yeah.
show up and you
Yeah.
have to be there every single day. And I learned something interesting because reading a book about mindset, apparently, when people are told as little children that are child prodigies and geniuses and huge talents, that is also nerve wracking because for their whole life, they have to live up to that standard of talent. So they start to butt out of challenges. They get drugs problems and things like that.
Mm.
They really
Mhm.
have to come to terms. It's same with yeah, you're highly intelligent. Well, that's why the most intelligent people who are more are higher than average, and they know it, and it's emphasized. They are not good in schools, and that's partly because schools are for average, but also because they have to live up. So this whole idea of effort, praising someone for his effort, is way more productive.
Mm.
It's way
Yes.
more productive. So I think it's always better to praise someone for his or her effort. And
Mhm.
I don't like it when people have this idea of you're nothing.
Yeah.
And I had that. I had my fair
Yes.
share. And
Yes.
oh God, it took me so long
Oh.
to come out. Your own worthiness is
Mhm.
getting slammed down.
Yes.
And it's unbelievable what that does. It
Mhm.
blocks you on so many roads. It blocked me as a classical musician. It blocked me in
Mhm.
art. It blocked me everywhere. I played in good orchestras, in good ensembles, etc. But still, and it takes
Oh,
half a lifetime to get
I
over that.
know.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So
Crazy.
yeah. But if I would have known that when they do this, they have a so-called purpose, like test
Yeah.
you, or
Mhm.
it's their own problem. Don't take anything
Yeah.
personally.
Right.
Ah,
Right. I know.
I would have felt so much
I
lighter too.
know,
Yeah,
I know. It's so good. I think this wisdom is getting out as more common conversation now and with more young people. So that's
yeah,
really good to hear and see.
yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
exciting.
Okay, if possible, and I know it's spirit you can, but with who of the old masters would you like to talk whilst painting his or her portrait in your studio?
I'm sure you can guess. Leonardo da Vinci. I mean,
Oh, okay.
I know. It wouldn't be Michelangelo because after I studied and realized Michelangelo, his focus was muscles and the structure, and he was very spiritual as well. Obviously, that's what I was receiving. But Leonardo da Vinci is a very interesting person to talk with. I mean, the king loved talking to him. He's very flamboyant. He's more entertaining, and he would focus on the inner feelings,
Yeah,
you know, like the Mona Lisa, that subtle little smile, like the inner feelings coming out, capturing the inner, along with the muscle structure and the knowledge of the human, you know, and spirituality, and he had it all.
yeah.
But that inner feeling was that extra, and because I think I know he is fun to talk to, and I bring him in all the time. I talk to him all the time. I love it.
Let me tell you a secret. I do the same.
Yes, I'm so glad. And who do you talk to?
Yes, because I always say Rembrandt is my biggest,
Oh,
but that is more the way he paints, and
mhm.
even that can shift. But and he's Dutch like me, but Leonardo da
Yes.
Vinci is my big hero, and I always
Mhm.
talk with him.
Yes.
I call him in. He is on my invisible board. Yeah.
Cool, cool.
So yeah,
Love it, love it. Yay, that's why we connect.
that's why we connect. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, but also the spirituality and your fun, your sheer fun of
Oh,
life and your inner
oh,
child that comes out and you can see it. And we should all
oh,
have that.
yeah.
We should all
Thank
have
you.
that. We are too serious as adults.
Yes.
And you
Yeah.
always remind me, get back to your childhood. Just connect with it. Have fun. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It solves every problem, with any relationship. Instead of communicating with how to solve something, just say something silly or turn it into something silly, or just it just solves everything. Skip down the
Mm.
hall, run down the hall if you don't want to dance. Just whatever. Just something, or just think silly, sing a fun song. Like there's just so many little tricks that are entertaining.
Absolutely true. Thank you so much, Joan, for being here. Really
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you. Yes, and the last words are everything is energy, right?
Yes.
Everything is energy. So
Yeah.
that when you just keep remembering that, you get in tune with your own energy. And then
Yeah.
when you're doing something, you kind of understand, oh, that's why that happened because my energy was in this place. Oh, that's why that happened because my
Yeah.
energy was in this place. So everything is energy. So yay,
Yeah.
energy. And thank you. You're awesome. Your energy is fabulous. Your art is amazing. Your colors, your life, what you're doing to the world and adding, your statements and your expressions. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much for saying that.
Yes,
Really appreciate that.
absolutely.
Thank you.